Good morning and welcome back to French Faso in the apps. This is the second tutorial about InstantOC. In this tutorial we will cover the LOD system of InstantOC. So I've already prepared a little sample scene. We have three models in our scene: the one with many polygons, high-res version, the medium-res version, and the low poly version. So if you want to use the LOD system of InstantOC, you will have to make sort of a group of LODs. So we will create an empty game object. We will name it logo. You can name it as you wish. And we will drag these three LOD levels inside the empty logo game object. So now we have a parent game object and three LOD levels. You have to rename the three LOD levels as LOD underscore 0, LOD underscore 1, and LOD underscore 2. You can have either 2 LOD levels or 3 LOD levels. It's up to you. I will center these objects, 0 all values, and use the parent game object to position it. So they are one on the other. And in InstantOC LOD groups you have to use one collider. The collider is for raycasting, it's for the occlusion culling system and also for the LOD system. So we need one collider. You can either have the collider inside one of the LOD models or on the parent object, it's up to you. If you want, you can have one collider for InstantOC, LOD and occlusion culling, and one for collision detection. In this case, if you use two separate colliders for InstantOC and collision detection, you can mark the one you will use for InstantOC as trigger only, so it will be a little more lighter in calculations. As you can see, I have chosen to use the mesh collider of the lowest polygon level, of the lowest LOD level. It should be enough for our purposes. It's always better to start with the lowest version of the mesh collider, or if you can, use a normal collider, one such as a sphere or a box or a compound collider. But if you want precise results, it's better to use a mesh collider with InstantOC. So we now have three LOD objects, one collider. We can now assign our IOC LOD script. You have to assign the IOC LOD script to the parent object, so we will drag it here. For now we don't set these options. We will use the IOC Cam custom inspector to set these options. The other thing we have to do is to put our LOD group, the InstantOC LOD group, on the IOC layer. It's the layer I have chosen to use with InstantOC. You can name it as you wish. And we will change also the level of the children objects to the IOC layer. So now we have our LOD group, and we will create a prefab. It's always good to use prefabs in Unity. In this case also because we will instantiate this object at runtime, randomly on the plane. So we will drag it on the project panel and it becomes a prefab. We will now assign three materials. I have some materials here already set up. We will use 3 different materials for the 3 LOD levels, so we can see when they change. It's only for the sake of the example. Red material, green material, and blue material. We have to reapply the modifications so that the prefab will be updated, and now we can delete it. It will be instantiated by our manager object. It's the same we used in the first tutorial. So I have to drag this prefab on the manager script, and we start with 100 prefab instantiated. Then we have to assign the IOC cam script to the camera and set our options. One thing to mention is in InstantOC you can use multiple layers. It's a layer mask, so you can say I want the objects on the IOC layer to be managed from InstantOC, but also all the objects that are on the water layer. And as you can see, InstantOC will track all the objects on the various layers you select. So it's a layer mask, it's not only a single layer. Now we have only objects on the IOC layer, so I will set it back to IOC. We will set the samples, 300, the view distance, 1000, high delay, the LOD distance. So now we will set the options for the LOD system. I want to see the highest polygon object from in a distance range from 0 to, let's say, 50 meters or 50 units, unity units. Then between 50 and 100 I want to see the LOD 1, so the medium density object, and over 100 meters I want to see the lowest polygon version. And now we have to set the LOD margin. The LOD margin value is all about the size of the bounding box of our LOD object. So our sphere, our logo sphere, is about 30 unity units. So we will set it to 30. This LOD margin helps you cancel the flickering effect between 2 different LOD levels. If this value is smaller than the size of the LOD object, at certain distances, when you are between the LOD distances at these edge values, you can see some flickering. So you simply have to raise the LOD margin value and the flickering effect will disappear. We will test this so you can see what I mean. I think everything is okay. We should now test our scene. One more thing. In the InstantOC version 1.2 I've added a helper object. It's a prefab, it's named IOC HUD. If you simply drag this prefab on your hierarchy, at runtime you will have the GUI system to enable and disable InstantOC and to play with some of the options of InstantOC. When you are done, you have to write down the values, because when you hit stop, these values are not saved. So you can play around, then you have to write these values down and reset them manually in the InstantOC custom inspector. So now we hit play and we should see 100 spheres on the screen, 100 logos on the screen. So there they are. InstantOC is enabled. As you can see, we have the GUI system from the IOC HUD prefab, and IOC is currently enabled. If we press I on the keyboard, it will be disabled and we will see only the high-res version of the object and all the objects. If we press I again, InstantOC will be enabled. So the blue object is the LOD 2, I think. Yes, it's the lowest polygon version. Now we are about at 50 meters or 100. If we get closer enough, it will become red. So as you can see, at certain distances there is some flickering effect. If you want to get rid of this effect, you have to choose a better LOD margin value. So perhaps let's try with 35, and the flickering should go away. I think it's a little too low, this 50 meters, so the 50 units, so I will raise it to 90 and the LOD to 260. Let's try with 200. I think it's better now. Yes, as we approach the object, they will be swapped with the higher res version. In the medium range they are green, and the far away are the low poly versions. Okay, so we have changed 3 values: LOD 1, LOD 2 and LOD margin, 90, 200, about 200 and 35. Let's update these values. 90, 235. Let's try a little bit more objects. 500. Hit play. So there we are. 50 over 50 frames per second. 40, 45, 50. If we disable InstantOC, 25, 30. So we have a good performance gain. It feels smooth and fluid. Really nice. So that's all for now. We have seen the LOD system and we have seen how to set up LOD groups in InstantOC. In the next tutorial we will cover some advanced topics like customization of some objects. So we will see how to override the global settings that you set on the IOCCam script. You can override these 3 values, LOD 1, LOD 2 distance and LOD margin, at an object level. So if you have objects with different sizes, you can override these global settings and fine-tune for best performance and visual quality your scene. But we will see this in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.